Everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is NGumah, founder of PATTERNOLOGY LAB. In today's video, we're going into great detail about the bubble of the month. This is by far the biggest bubble that I've seen this month so far. And I will also be going in depth on the patterns that led up to the run up and what led to me shorting it back down. So stay tuned. Before we begin, if you're new to this channel, definitely hit that subscribe button below and also hit that notification bell. That way you get notified when we release new videos, and it also helps the channel grow so that more people can get this knowledge as well. This bubble is Mrna, which is also known as Moderna. Okay, let's dive into Think or Swim and see exactly how we approached it. Alright y'all, this right here is Moderna on a daily chart. As you can see, it's been on a massive tear from the lows of 1752 all the way up to $87. Alright, and that was approximately a 400% gain throughout the past 3 months. And one thing that I want y'all to know is that this stock doesn't have much history. Like, I cannot go back. If I go over here and try to go on the weekly chart, for example, it doesn't have much history. It literally like just started. So it was very difficult for me to pick out the top of this stock and to short it, since there is absolutely nothing back here for me to like use at some reference to where the resistance might be. Okay, now let's dive into the Robinhood account and see exactly when I got in. This right here is Moderna on Robinhood, and if we scroll down to the history, we can see that I got into this stock on May 18th, and I bought this put right here, the $75 put that expires this Friday for $290, and I bought this put at exactly 1:59 p.m. Central Time. This is Eastern Time. We're in Central Time right now. So yeah, I bought it for $290. And if we go back to the chart, 1:59 p.m. is exactly right here. Okay, we're gonna zoom into here after this massive rise. 1:59 on that day is actually in here, in this candle right here. Right there, I got in right when I saw weakness in the stock. I noticed that the stock was just, first of all, it collapsed right out the gates, okay? And then it just consolidated. And if you look at the bottom here, the volume is very faint, okay? So me looking at this slow grind, right? No, there's absolutely no direction, okay? It was just consolidating. And also me looking at the daily chart like this, zooming out. When I look at this chart, there are a bunch of questions going through my mind. The first question is, does it make sense to buy at that level when the stock gets like super high? It's very vertical. And the answer is absolutely no. Like throughout that week specifically, there's been so much hype about the vaccine, about the stock price. Some analysts were upgrading it to like $100, and there was a lot of FOMO buyers just chasing the stock up. And to me, it just didn't make any sense to be buying it up when it was that vertical. That's why I chose to short it back down. And if we look at the charts again and we go back to the 5-minute chart and we scroll back, right after I got in right here, the stock just kept dropping. And then they dropped some more the next day, which was Tuesday, right? They tried to go back up and then they got crushed. And then they tried to go back up again and they got crushed again right there. And I was just patiently just holding throughout this slow fade downward, right? Until I think right here, the news broke out about, if you look over here at the news broke out. There it is. Here's the news right there. Moderna, vaccine did not produce data critical to access the vaccine, okay? And this news caused this massive panic right there, along with every other stock in the stock market, and even the SPY. The SPY took a dip as well. So every stock got hammered in the stock market right after this news broke out. And I just kept holding until we actually got to my price target. The price target that I had in mind when I was shorting the stock is anywhere between like 69 and 67, just anywhere below 70 for sure. Okay, and there's a specific reason for that. In my last video, which was released on Saturday, I specifically told y'all when these bubbles starts running up really quickly, right? They have the tendency to crash really fast, and that crash is usually around 30%. Apart from that reason, there's actually another reason why I chose $67, $68, $69 as my price target. Something that all of you should know is that right here, there is this massive gap, right? This massive gap right here. And something about the stock market is that every gap in the stock market, or at least most gap, more like 90% of all gaps, gets filled at a certain point in time, okay? And it could be the next day, or it could be like 3 months from now. But at a certain time, 90% of all gaps, especially in like daily time frame, 90% of them get filled at some point in time. And if we look closely at this gap right here, we can see that the high of this candle was $67.67, okay? As mentioned above, right here, $67.67. Now let's look at the Robinhood account and see exactly when I got out. And I sold that contract right at 8:31 Central Time. And if we go back to the chart and we look at the 1 minute chart, we can see that I got out of that contract right at the end of this candle right here, right at 69.50, because I was anticipating this spike, but I missed the bottom by $1, which was 67.50. I missed the bottom by just $1, all right? But that's all right though. At least I got the majority of the move. Now let's move on to how this bubble even happened. There is multiple patterns in between that led to the run-up that we can learn from, okay? Here they are. If we look at the 4-hour chart, and then we zoom into here, right? I want you to pay attention to this very closely, all right? If you're, okay. I want you to pay attention to this structure very closely. Let me grab the right drawing tool, and then let me connect this thing right here, all right? And then let me connect the floor right there. What you can see right here is a bullish triangle, which the entry for this pattern was right in here, okay? And then after the breakout, there was a retest of that support line, right? And then a continuation of the move up here, okay? And then when you get up here, I actually tried to short this thing down, but it just would not collapse. And I ended up breaking even somewhere in here. But one thing that I want y'all to see is that there is another pattern which led up to this move up here. And that pattern is right there, okay? And this right here is called a bullish pennant. And if you haven't watched my previous videos, I definitely talked about this pattern before. The third pattern that I want y'all to see is actually on a different time frame. Let me go on to the 15-minute time frame and let me zoom here, all right? That pattern is actually right here. Let me connect the tops again, like so, and let me connect the floor again like that, okay? And this right there is a bullish triangle on a smaller time frame, which is exactly the same of how this entire bubble started off. If you look at the daily chart right here, okay? The very first pattern I mentioned is right there. The same one happened on a smaller time frame. Again, if you have any questions at all, definitely drop them in the comment section below. I would love to hear what y'all think. And if you haven't followed us on Instagram, I do post the patterns that I spot daily, and I do post my entries and my exits on there as well. My name is Paul with Patternology Lab, where we trade patterns and patterns only. And I will see y'all on the next one. Take care.